Okay, we're live.
Now, where's that fancy music we got? Always. There we go. Let's get the show started.
Two vets, two different worlds, one badass show. Center Mass with Rob and Silent J, blowing your mind away on the Vets Own Media Network.
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to Cinemaster Rob and Silent J. I'm Rob,
I am Silent J.
and welcome back. It's been what, 2 weeks since we did the last one? Is that how long it's been? 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Three or 4 weeks.
Wow. Yeah. So a lot's been going on in my life, at least for the last couple of weeks, which is why I've been kind of, I was MIA. I actually spent the last week in Vegas for a company. Oh my God, you can tell it's late. I don't know, it was a pretty good time. It was Vegas. It was like 100 degrees out there. Convention, for a company convention. Um, so yeah, it was a pretty interesting time. Have you ever been out to Vegas, Jay?
Oh, yeah. The last time I was in Vegas, I couldn't hold down solid foods after 4 days. I spent 9 days there, and it was too much.
Yeah, that's too much. We were there
No,
for
no business, no work, all fun.
See, we were there for 5 or 6 days, but we were, I mean, from like 8 a.m. until probably 11 p.m. every night we were working. Just huge listening speakers and like all the different financial managers and all these different, financial producers and products and things, just everything you can imagine. And it was like, what, Tuesday, and I got back last night. It was just absolutely insane. 118 degrees, like on that drive between back and forth. You get to some parts between LA and Las Vegas, 118 degrees on the drive. It was like a 108-degree average in Vegas the whole time we were there.
When I was there,
Yeah, there was no rain to be had here, but it was a lot of fun, man. It was cool. Vegas is, I tell you what, like we went out one night. I went out and actually I went to this place. We stayed at the Venetian. There's
okay.
this place called Tao. Where they have a restaurant. We went to the restaurant and they let us in the nightclub for free since we went to the restaurant. Wow, it's a really nice nightclub, but I tell you what, the shortest, tightest skirts I have ever seen in my life. I mean, there's probably 30 different bachelorette parties going on there at the same time. Um, Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I'm not really a club guy, and I was exhausted anyway, so I stayed there for maybe 30 minutes and then kind of took off. But wow, wow, it was a little nuts. That's for sure. I'm still kind of recovering. I mean, I was averaging. Well, I don't sleep that much anyway, but didn't get a whole lot of sleep, and we were just going nonstop. That's why I'm actually, you guys can tell that from the background. I'm a different location. I'm actually at my office in Valencia right now. I have offices in Valencia and in Woodland Hills here in the Los Angeles area. So I'm actually here because it's going to be a late night here, trying to catch up from missing basically a week of work where I couldn't really be involved with any of my clients.
So this means one thing. Everybody out there listening, tell your friends times 100 because everything Rob just explained when he was in Vegas, other than the short skirt, sounds boring. Sorry, Rob. Just sounds boring. Save him and
Well,
save me.
Vegas, like for me, like I'm not a gambler. I'm not really a big drinker anymore.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's like my job. I actually enjoy my job. I enjoy the numbers thing, and like when you have a chance to sit down and listen to somebody that's bringing in 7 million a year, and they tell you exactly how they do it and how to do what they did and how to, you listen, right? Unless you don't ever want to make 7 million a year, then you can go off and fuck off and do whatever you want. But that's pretty interesting stuff to me, And so, and I'm a very analytical guy, and so that's like when I have different products and I have, the people that manage XYZ mutual fund or whatever right there. It's the only chance I'm ever going to get to sit there and like have a back and forth interaction with them without having to be on hold for half an hour first. So it's pretty good.
It just sounds. See, this is for everybody that's new. This is where our worlds are miles apart, but we have a lot in common, but miles apart. I think if we walked by each other on the street, Rob might give me a quarter. I don't know. He might. I think
Well, I'm
I'm.
a nerd. At the end of the day, I'm a nerd. I just like if there's something I'm interested in. I want to learn about it. I want to learn everything that I can about it, and so that's just the way it is. Like, I don't know. I enjoy reading. I really like numbers and technical stuff and like understanding how this stuff works.
See, I'm with you in the historical level and entertainment. I love history. Like, I'm not a drinker anymore. I was thinking today, like, when was the last time I got drunk? I couldn't remember, and I was happy about that. Just,
Yeah.
I'm over it. At 35 that's definitely the cliff of hangovers. Like, I realized last year I could still squeak by. 35, no way.
Yeah,
I'm not a gambler either, so I don't know what I would do in Vegas. I'd walk around. I like the people watch, so that's what I enjoy doing.
I think I played $20 in roulette, and that was about it. And that $20 was gone within about 45 seconds, and so I was like, no.
When I was there, I sat down. Roulette, best odds. You have like 46% chance of winning, 48% chance of winning. That I like, red or black. I sat down with $50 and I was up over $5,000. But the one thing, they get you with is those free drinks, and I put it all away. But
Well, we sat down at this table that already had 2 zeros on it, and so like get a bunch of I was out there with like 4 of my buddies from work, so you get 4 financial advisors sitting around looking at a bunch of numbers, and we go, oh, it's already hit, it's already crapped out and hit 0 3 times, so statistically there's not a chance in hell it's going to hit 0 again, so we're pretty safe. Red, look at the mixture red black, and the dealer or somebody else that's sitting there like hears us kind of talking amongst each other about this, and they go, you guys got to stop thinking like that. You got to just realize like this is pure chance. There's no way to analyze this stuff. And sure enough, I lost my money in one thing. And I lost my money, and it crapped out again, actually. Before we left the table, it hit 0 5 times. And I, like, for me, I put my money down, and somebody, took a drink order immediately. And so when I crapped out, I was going to put money down again, and they're like, somebody else actually played a few more rounds. And I was, one of our buddies just started going, hey, go. This table's crapped out. Don't use this table anymore. And I was like, but I just got a drink. I just ordered a drink. The drink hasn't showed up yet. And they're like, no, go.
See, every 1 or 2 years I do gamble. I play roulette because it's safe and it's fun. I play the corners in the 20s, and then I put on either 0 or 00. Just play it so safe to stretch out my dollar, because I'll sit there with 40, 50 bucks and just I'd like to get a half hour of fun out of it, and then I'm ready to go. So I don't even know what the fascination is with casinos. I don't get it.
See, last time I was there with USA Cares. I went to SHOT Show with them a year or 2 ago, and a buddy of mine lived in Vegas at the time, and he actually took me to old Vegas. He took me to Binion's, which is like, it's way off the strip. It's old Las Vegas. And so there you can play, you get like quarter rounds roulette or whatever. So I was used to that. I would play like, my birthday, like Masonic numbers, like all this crazy stuff. But at the Venetian, I totally forgot. I cashed in $20, you get 4 chips, and it's $15 minimum. I was like, oh great. So you can only you just can't do as much.
Yeah. You know what? Speaking of crapping out on 0, it's a good topic we could talk about. Iraq.
Yeah.
Because
nice segue.
Yeah. Man, I've been brewing that one for the last 5 seconds. I've watched the news one time about it, and it just disgusted me. And it was a couple weeks ago when the onslaught first. The Huns came down from the hills, so to speak, and I just watched it, and I just very upset and disappointed. Like I thought about it. I don't want to get too emotional about it, but it's like all that fucking hard work and energy, I put into it. We put into it. Blood, sweat, and tears, and it's just vanishing, basically vanishing.
Yeah, and today the ISIS, so the extremists, announced a new caliphate in Iraq, which basically means they're calling it its own state. That like the separation that's in Islamic State now. I've been talking with people a lot about this over the last few weeks since this has been going on, and I think this is like a telltale example of a couple of the things that are wrong with the military today and politics being involved in the military, and generals trying to be involved in politics. Because everybody that worked hand in hand with the Iraqis, and we know same things going on with the Afghanis. I used to tell a story to people trying to explain Afghanistan, saying, I think the Brits had it right, because when the Brits were training the Afghans or the Indians or the Pakistanis or any of these places that they conquered, they would basically say, hey, be in formation at 0600 tomorrow wearing X, Y, and Z, and we're going to go for a run, and we're going to do that. If you didn't show up in formation, if you were still in your bed, they'd drag you out of bed, they'd beat you in front of everybody. If you do it a couple times, they'll cut your hands off or hang you in the middle of the square. For us, especially with Afghanistan, you had to have very big kid gloves on, and you had to, and that's the thing about Afghans. Like, they don't, I bought my guys watches because they don't have watches. They don't care about time. They consider in their culture, time is just a suggestion. So if you say, hey, let's meet at 0600, they go, hey, I'll be there at 8, whatever. And so you just have to kind of put up with it. And so we were we were forced to bless off on people being ready long before they were ready. And we weren't allowed to take any kind of real action to give them a sense of purpose. And that's the biggest thing. Like when, so talking about Iraq now, when, they had generals announcing, oh, these Iraq units are ready, we're prepared for deployment, we're prepared for the troops pull out, they can take, they can handle their own country now, and they're fully ready, and we're blessing off on them. Everybody knew that was BS. Well, everybody that had actually worked with them knew that was BS. But that was an issue. Like, I heard stories of Special Forces captains sending in SITREPs, situation reports, saying these guys are nowhere near ready, and then being sent back, and the guy and their leadership saying, you're going to have to rewrite that. And, okay, what part do I rewrite? You've got to say they're ready, but they're not ready. But they have to be ready, but they're not ready. But your report has to state that they're ready. And that's it. And so, like, everybody knew. Everybody knew this was going to happen. And this is exactly what's going to happen in Afghanistan very soon.
Yeah, and I think it'll be a lot quicker. I was surprised that it took this long with Iraq, to be honest with you. Afghanistan, I don't even think the last plane will be off the ground before, that world's in chaos again.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I wanted to try to better understand the Iraqis, even though I spent, a good portion of my 20s there. I didn't realize the history of Iraq. I mean, I knew the ancient history of Iraq, but the modern history of Iraq and how basically it was formed, and the country is basically doomed from the start. I forgot the woman's name, but she was I think her name's Paige. She was she was like the female version of Lawrence of Arabia in Iraq, and it was just I think it was doomed from the start, from the very start.
I have actually a buddy of mine that I was in SF with, and he works at a think tank in D.C. now. His goal, he wants to write a book saying, blame the Brits for everything, or the Brits are the ones that effed everything up, because that is Iraq and Afghanistan. Afghanistan, especially with Iraq as well. Like, we drew these arbitrary country lines for these places that tribes, would flow back and forth across. And basically, we created all these wars over land and resources and oil that wouldn't have ever existed if we had done that. If the Brits hadn't created these, arbitrary kind of lines in the sand, and that's what it did. It's what caused a lot of these issues, especially, when you have Pakistan, Afghanistan, and people that go back and forth. You got Pashtun, you've got all these different tribes that are just all over the place, and they don't really care where this line is. You talk about Waziristan and in eastern Afghanistan, but the tribes that are going back and forth between that, they don't really care. They couldn't care less what you're going to call it.
And it's hard to. I mean, I have zero sympathy for any of those people. But like, to sit there and say, my grandfather, 21 times removed, has been walking these same valleys as I. Now I have to stop at this imaginary line. It's almost ridiculous. I mean, it's just. And to get people to do that, where they don't understand time, they don't care about time. You look at the stuff that's going on, even to this day. They're stoning, their children for having weddings that they are opposed to. I mean, if you're willing to kill your own child, with a brick because they he or she married the neighbor that you don't like, that imaginary line in the sand isn't going to stop you from doing anything.
Have you ever seen the National Geographic documentary, The Dancing Boys of Afghanistan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a rough one. And so for some people, listening who don't know too much, who've never heard of that, you can Google it. Essentially, they have these, parents, well, men, so fathers, and very, very, poor, kind of when they're in trouble with money, they will have, they'll basically they'll dress their sons up like little girls. They'll put them in dresses, they'll put makeup on them and all that good stuff. And they go to a hut, or they'll send them to another village where a bunch of men will go in. They make these little boys dance around, and men not bet, but they auction off, I guess, the boy. And so the highest bidder gets to take that little boy home for the night. And it's just like this crazy, like, gay pedophile, like, sexual slave trade auction. It's just disgusting.
Right. You're in California. You're going to upset one of your senators.
But I mean, which one? The one that's trafficking guns, or the one that's
all of them? Let's not pinpoint one asshole. All of them.
California's full of them.
That's the thing. I was talking to somebody yesterday, just about. I'm gonna try to tie this in the best that I can. We were talking about Democrats and liberals, and somebody that moved somewhere with a large African American population, and she's like, wow, they really don't like gay people. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you look at it, you look at the base of the Democratic Party, a large African American population, a large Hispanic population, politically very liberal for, whatever reason, socially very, very conservative. Mm-hmm. And it's the same way over there. Like, some liberals, I think, in politics are championing very, very, very much. Like, look at Pakistan, look at Afghanistan, look at these cultures. Then you really look at the cultures. It's like they don't have anything in common with you. If you brought Afghanistan over here, they'd probably vote Republican 9 times out of 10 if the drones were pointed somewhere else.
Right.
If it wasn't on them. So it's just like, I don't understand. Like, our politics mixes it up all the time and messes it up. You look at the politics over there, and it's like, it's a head scratcher. It really is. It's like, why are we I don't know. I'm just in a rotten mood with all of them, everybody.
Yeah, well, it's a shame. There's that. I saw a really funny Facebook picture. I don't know. I've been seeing a lot over the last probably 6 months or so, and it's got a picture of a soldier like looking over at something, and it's a soldier and his buddy, and they're both in uniform, like full battle rattle, and they go, "Hey, look, that country over there's got oil," and the other guy goes, "Yeah, let's go free it," So yep. I think that's just kind of the state of affairs over there, and that's kind of an issue that we're going through right now, and that's the thing that always kind of perplexed me, is people were saying it was about oil for the longest time, even though China ended up having the oil rights, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that's going on right now, and this is why that hits home so much for me right now, is because it was pretty widely publicized. They spent a bunch of special forces guys over there to protect the embassy and help get people out. Mm-hmm. So that means that even though I know we've been there, that means more of my buddies are over there right now, kind of in harm's way with no backup. Because essentially once you pull everybody out, they're there without any real backup, and so that's kind of one of the issues. And that's how we operate. But guarding and protecting an embassy is not typically a special forces mission. That's we work in small numbers. Yeah, that's what Marines do. Marines guard embassies, right? And that's, you basically want the Marine death ray, right? So you want like the death blossom, whatever you call it. You want a whole bunch of people with artillery or whatever that they can defend it, but somebody with the wherewithal to come get you if you get in trouble. Special forces, we typically, a lot of our stuff is element of surprise. That's why I have the beards, the long hair, civilian clothes, low vis operations, because we do, we do sneaky. That's why we're the secret squirrels, right? You don't just line us up on a wall and have us like shoot back once people start attacking. That's not really
right.
Not our preferred method of attack, right? We should be out there in the cities actually running the intel ops and killing bad guys.
Yep.
But that's the biggest problem. If you got to depend on the Iraqis at the end of the day, like,
I think the only, just from my personal experiences, I think the only people that were, I think, trustworthy, and I use that term loosely, and I think able to stand up on their own are the Kurds over there, and those poor bastards don't even have their own country. You know, the British forgot the Kurds.
Yeah. Well, and that's a big point. Maybe I should write a book saying, why the hell does anybody trust us anymore? Because just like so Vietnam, we had the Montagnards and the Hmong,
Yep.
right? Who, actually, one of my really good friends' wife is her dad she's Laotian, and so her dad was a Laotian, basically fought with the U.S. military, and then they they ended up in refugee camps and made their way over here to the U.S. So the Montagnard and the Hmong both, they were the ones that helped us. Like, they're the ones that fought side by side with special forces. They were, all of our local kind of guerrillas and fighters, and then they trusted us. Like, we brought them into their camps. They brought us in their villages. They fought with us. We armed them. We taught them how to fight and did all this stuff. And then the American government decided they wanted to leave. They just said, okay, guys, we're going. No, we can't take any of them with us. No, we can't do anything. So we just left these people and took all of our weapons away and left them to basically be annihilated. And that's, the North Vietnam was basically trying to, enact genocide with these people.
Yep.
And so a lot of SF guys, when they started these Save the Montagnard Foundation, actually you can click through on Love Me When I'm Gone, or my Facebook page, lovemewhenimgone.com, and there's a link to an organization called Save the Montagnards. This is the same thing we just picked up and we took off. Well, a lot of people that don't really know the history of Iraq, of the Iraq War, or that really think, it started with the Marines or when the news cameras showed up. Special Forces was there for quite a while before the conventional military showed up, and that's how we got in. It was with the Kurds. We went in through the north, and the Kurds basically brought us in there and fought with us and done this. And so I got really upset because a few years back, we basically sold the Kurds out to the Turks because Turkey hates the Kurds. Well, I don't know if they hate them, but essentially the Kurds control a lot of the oil in Iraq. And Turkey, if they were to take over Kurdistan, Turkey could have the oil. And so it's in their best interest to kind of eradicate these guys and take all their land. And we sold them out. I remember seeing stories that the American government was helping Turkey identify targets and locations of the Kurds and all this stuff. And I remember seeing that and just getting pretty pissed off because the Kurds actually are the only reason we got in there. I mean, They helped us a lot.
Yeah, and it's a big shout out to all of my Hmong friends in Wisconsin. Rob, the first FM station I worked at in Wisconsin was a Hmong radio station. It was Hmong and Laotian language broadcasting during the day, and then me at night. And that was an interesting blend.
Wow!
But they had all their, some of their very important leaders who fought during the Vietnam War on our side. They had portraits of them in their uniforms and stuff like that. Very, very proud people. So I got a lot of Hmong friends. So big shout out to all you guys.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. They trust me. It wasn't cool after after some of my shows.
Yeah. Well, but I mean it just kind of goes to show again, I don't know how people I don't know if people just don't pay attention to history or what, but the way that we've operated, we tend to screw over the people that help us the most.
Yep.
And so that's, I don't know, and that's a big thing that gets me is we worked very closely hand in hand with a lot of people that help us because that's how we operate. You live out in the village. We would go through a lot of vehicles because when you're doing low-vis operations, we're not driving in Humvees, we're driving in local vans or local pickup trucks or whatever, trying to blend in. And as soon as one of those is burned, as soon as you do an operation with one of those or as soon as you get burned or something like that, you got to ditch the vehicle and get more vehicles. And so we had guys in towns that would have to go get us new vehicles, people that would get us food, people that would cook for us, translators, all these other things. And it was insanely hard to get a green card for somebody that had been helping us out, like a translator. Our Terps were they basically knew that they were dead if we pulled out. You know what I mean? And we had multiple Terps interpreters that were killed while we were there. You'd find their bodies in the street with all their fingernails pulled off and their lips cut off and all this other stuff. Find them hanging in the middle of town square because they knew that they were working with us. And that's when we were still there to protect them. And so it really bothered me because we had, multiple guys that we tried to get green cards for helping us for a while, and it is extremely difficult. But now you can see, and it's like I'm not like this anti-immigration guy, but like you see like Mexican immigrants that just come across the border and they get what do you call it? They get whatever that's called, or the leniency or clemency or whatever, where they're allowed to come in and say, oh, okay, I came here legally and get citizenship. Meanwhile, all these people that helped us and risked their life for us and did a lot of stuff. I mean, Special Forces couldn't.
The guy that I forgot his name. That movie that just came out, Lone Survivor. The guy that it was based on, I can't think his name's.
Mark Luttrell.
Mark Luttrell. I guess one Afghani that helped him. There's a petition right now. I guess they sent it to the White House. That online petition you can do to try to get that guy over here, because he's basically, as soon as he's found, in Afghanistan, he's dead. He's local Afghani. It's like somebody like that. Why? I mean, fuck. It's common sense. There's just some common sense. Like, there's certain people, I think, in Sudan, the Congo, Afghanistan, Iraq. You can name 20 countries, and I'm sure there's some people like, yeah, they really need to be here, Yeah. And there's probably a fair amount of people in the world that have, like you said, have helped us and just were left out to, hang out to dry. Meanwhile, we basically got the welcoming mat for anybody, south of Texas, and so it's just beyond me. I think sometimes our loyalty as a nation politically is has a cycle of like 20 days, after 20 days.
Well, and that's that is the scary thing. Like I mean it's a hard decision to make, because on the one hand you want to say, like, you can't change something. If one politician puts something in effect, you can't change it. The next guy, because then what do we get locked into? Then you get people that make really bad decisions and they change things. But with what happens now, like when Obama gets out of office, if a Republican comes in, we're gonna change a lot of stuff in this country. A lot of stuff that I think he's done a bad job of. Maybe that's not everybody's opinion, but I think it's it's that he has screwed a lot of stuff up. And so there's a lot of things that, when you're trying to make any kind of long-term plans, and like war is a very long-term plan, with finance and business and investing and all these other things, it's very hard to do when you don't know what's next. When you don't know who the next president's going to be, or what the business climate's going to be, or that's so like a big thing with us. The Intel guys. Because a big part of Intel is getting people to trust you in these areas where they know they're going to die if they get caught helping us, especially the way that they help us, essentially spying, on their own people, giving us intel and stuff like that. So that, like, Intel, the handler, and the source relationship has to be very, very, very close. And so, like, when you do rotations, you can't just all of a sudden go, hey, Ahmed, I'm out of here tonight on the first thing out. Here's Jim. So you're going to start working with Jim now. You can't just do that. You got to have a handoff, because there is a large amount of trust that needs to go in, and they need to understand that you're going to be in their best interest. You're going to protect their identity, and you're not going to turn around and just screw them. And unfortunately, it's kind of what we're doing. We're not giving anybody any idea of longevity. And how do you convince, even if you can't guarantee how long you're going to be there, how do you convince people to help you? That was a big problem we had with the Afghans. As soon as Obama kind of announced, hey, we're out at this time, we couldn't. So Afghans are horrible with supply chain stuff. They just love pilfering anything they can, because there's really nowhere else to get it. But we found, once he announced we're leaving on this date, they started just rat piling everything they possibly could, because they knew once America left, they weren't getting anything else. So we had, I was working with this like a mechanized infantry company, and we got them all ACOGs for all their fighters, all their war fighters, right? We got like 300 ACOGs, right, for this for a battalion, I think. And we get them the ACOGs. We go out on a night mission, and we're doing all the PCIs and looking at all this stuff, and we realize not a single one of these guys has an ACOG on their rifle. And so we still had to do the mission. I mean, Blackhawks are coming in. We had Chinooks that night. Chinooks are coming in. Still got to do the mission, but we go and talk to the commander the next day and go, hey, we just gave you 300 ACOGs. Why aren't any of these guys using them? He goes, oh, well, those are mine, and I don't want them to get broken or lost. And you go, okay, but what's the point of putting them in a warehouse? Like, even if they're working perfectly fine, but they're not being used, they're not going to any good. But his whole thing was that, like, he knew once we left, he was never going to get those again. And so they were his. And they did that with everything, from gasoline to tires to bullets to gun, everything you can imagine. And that's one of those like tertiary effects of announcing withdrawal date, is that they go, okay, better steal everything we can.
Yep. See, what the Afghanis forget is that Rainbow 3 was dedicated for the fighting men and women over in Afghanistan. And I think we need to get Sylvester Stallone over there to remind them that we put him on the map.
Was that Rainbow 3?
Yeah, Rainbow 3 when he's in Afghanistan. At the end, it's like for the brave, men and women, men of the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. You watch it now, it's like, oh yeah, either Sylvester Stallone's a fucking Taliban ops guy, or that movie's extremely dated.
Well, and that's one of the big things in any one man's terrorist, another man's freedom fighter, right? Because that's a very important thing. Like, you got to think of that, and I know it's hard to do, especially being a military guy that was over there, and like I've lost a lot of friends over there. But you got to have that understanding that, like, if somebody invaded the U.S., I would do exactly what they're doing, right? I would defend this place with everything that I had, and I would do very dirty things, to anybody that came in here and was trying to harm my family and my country and all that. But actually, in the 80s, my grandpa was in Afghanistan fighting the Russians. And it was the Muj that we fought with, right? So that's the crazy thing, is that, the weapons that they're fighting us with now are our own weapons that we gave them, right? Yeah. We gave them Stingers to shoot down the Russian helicopters. We gave them ammo. We snuck in, all kinds of weapons and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, what was that congressman's name?
It's
Charlie White?
Charlie.
He was a drunk. I do know that much.
I was just about. I had it on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember. But yeah, Charlie Wilson. Charlie Wilson's war.
Charlie Wilson. Yeah.
So that's but that's realistic. But the problem there.
Missiles if you're extras in a Rambo movie.
But that was the thing. Like, we did have this big picture of them as freedom fighters back in the 80s, because they essentially helped us defeat the Russians without ever having to invade Russia or do anything like that. Which I think is a big reason why Russia has such a big push right now. Like, that's one of the things in Iraq. They just announced today that a bunch of Russian security experts, which means Spetsnaz, arrived in Iraq today to help them get Russian warplanes up in the air fighting ISIS. And the same thing is going on in Afghanistan. They had a bunch of. This is a really weird thing. This happened in Afghanistan last year. America gave a bunch of money, America bought a bunch of Russian helicopters and airplanes to give to Afghanistan. I couldn't figure that one out. I don't know why we did that. But yeah, that's why Russia has a pretty vested interest in us getting screwed up over there. And I tell you what, like, we found in Iraq and Afghanistan, a lot of the snipers we were dealing with were Chechens. So there are, like, basically what that becomes when you have a big protracted war like that in a place like Iraq or Afghanistan. It's basically anybody can come in, or out. Syria, same thing, where you have anybody that has a bone to pick with America or Britain or anybody that was involved in that, France, whatever. That's where they go. They just get over there and fight. And that's where they have the training camps in North Africa where they go and get trained and armed, and they find their way into wherever the fight is, and they just go fight. And that's there's another crazy thing, so that's
my brain is warped. I'm just thinking so many things right now. Like, this world is fucked. We need to get to Mars, man.
Yeah, but actually,
our first podcasters, there's some good Martian chicks out there.
One of the guys that I was in Afghanistan with last time is actually on that thing where, like, you could take a test and do whatever you do. and get chosen to get on that first group of guys that's going to Mars. They're going to go like actually inhabit Mars. And they have like a 1-to-3 guy to girl ratio, and like they've got all these different things. But the issue is it's a one-way ticket, like, and they don't have any guarantees about anything there. You know, so like if your oxygen runs out, sorry.
You know what it should be for politicians? Okay, you want to serve a third term? All right, if you lose that third term, you're going to Mars. So think very carefully if you want to run after a second term. That's what it should be.
Would you really want a new planet to be entirely colonized by a population of politician offspring, though? Imagine how defiled, imagine how dirty, like what a cesspool that place would be.
I was going to say, when we get there, it'll be just like home. You know? Brave new world, status quo.
Isn't that the point, though? It's it's trying to fix all the stuff that we did wrong here. I think that'd be a really bad way to start off.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Oh well. Yeah. Mars, you're screwed. We're gonna get you.
Yeah.
Let the oil on there. You're really fucked.
Speaking of getting screwed, this is something that I hadn't heard of because I've been just completely out of the news for the last week or two. But you actually put me onto this, Joe, the top Green Beret officer that was forced to resign over an affair with a Washington Post reporter. Right. So this is. Have you been following this very much?
I only saw that one story on it, and and that was it. And from reading the story, I don't know. What did he do? What did he do wrong? I mean, I don't get it. They don't let on to the fact if he was married or not. So I don't think he pulled a Petraeus. But I mean, can you not ban news reporters?
And that's what I don't. Yeah, see, that's what I don't get. Because like, I don't think he was married to somebody else. I think that was. And again, I don't know. I've actually heard of this guy. And so that is, one of the things that's right. Like he is kind of one of the big dogs out there, and so that is a little strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it says they were married.
Yeah, they got married. The reporter and this officer, I believe, I don't remember what his rank was.
So this is okay. I've heard of this. Actually, Brian, is it Brian or one of our friends was putting me onto the book. It's The American Spartan, The Promise, the Mission, The Betrayal of Special Forces Major Jim Gant. Right, because this guy basically went through. He's got 50 months of credited time in Iraq and Afghanistan. This guy, like the last one they pulled him off, he had done 22 months straight. He got a silver medal in Iraq. He's got a lot of stuff, but when this guy was in Afghanistan, he went through and he was basically like taking over all the tribes, man, all these little villages. Like he united quite a bit because that's what essentially special forces. We're what do you call it? We're warlords, right? That's kind of what we are, and that's a big thing with him is that he did what SF guys do. And he went native, right? And that was the thing that people don't really understand, right? So that's one thing that we do that people don't really get. That that's a big thing for SF is going native. Not actually like driving around in Humvees and doing all that, but actually getting to know the locals where you are. Driving in low vis, doing low vis operations, having the long hair, having the beards, learning the language, eating their food, doing all they do. And this guy was actually pretty good at it. And I don't know, like lately, the thing that I find is politicians don't seem to be very smart, and the powers that be don't usually tend to be very smart. And so it seems like they only have a couple tricks up their sleeve. And so when they want to like discredit somebody or get rid of somebody or do something like that, they have a couple of different things that they do. Mm-hmm. And one of those big things that they do is these affairs, right? They pull the affair card and they find a way to discredit somebody.
Which, shouldn't we be over that? Like, this guy had an affair, like, okay, it sucks. You got here because of it. Your parents may have had an affair.
Well,
I don't understand why it's... Listen, I don't just run around and boink everything that I could. But you would think, get over it, I mean, there's far more dangerous things to do. You know, whether
that
you're in the military or a politician or a spy or whatever the case may be. I would think murdering and stealing, embezzling, maybe doing crack, a lot more serious than just banging somebody.
right. Well, and that's it's the same thing that happened to Petraeus, right? Like Petraeus was taken down by an affair, which is a very strange thing, And so I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand why they would pull this on him because from what I can see, it looks like he was married to the same woman that they say he had the affair with. I don't.
It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. But again, like
somebody didn't edit that cover story when they sent it out to the press. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's unfortunately, that's the thing. You can't really rely on any of the information that you get anymore from the press, and that's their job, right? It's supposed to be the one place that you can actually trust the information that you get, and it's obviously just not.
Not in the land of Al Sharpton or Nancy Grace. I can tell you that much. Nope.
Oh God.
Keep Rachel Maddow out of this, all right? We'll have words.
Yeah, I'm not even going to go there today.
But the question is, okay, let's just say this officer, this SF guy, he opens up the paper and he looks, that's not fucking true. That's not true.
Right.
That's not why I'm doing this. I mean, has there ever been, maybe not this gentleman, but somebody from like, I don't know, the CIA or the military or a politician who's like just, let's just play fantasy right now, where it's such a a story on them that just wasn't true. Do these people dare fight back if it's just propaganda, or it's like, hey, come on.
Well, and that's that's a whole nother issue, and I've actually heard that talked about a couple different times. If you are wrongly accused by the media for something, number one, you don't really have any way to get your rebuttal out. They're kind of at the behest of them. Once they say something, you can't really do anything. They have the complete news media. You don't have your own news station, so you don't have any way to get it out. Now I have seen some like retractions where newspapers especially will put if they smear somebody and then find out they were wrong. Sometimes they will print a retraction, but they'll smear somebody on the front page of the New York Times. And then their retraction will be buried so deeply in the back that they'll never, nobody will ever see it. And so that is kind of an issue, and it gets really ugly, especially with politicians and things like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. As much as I would love to be a politician because I think I can help, right? I just want everything that comes with it. But it's like, who really in their right mind? I mean, you have to be a narcissistic individual to want to do that. I mean, I understand like the military, we're both either in or have been in. And there's usually a couple reasons for that. One is a sense of, duty and patriotism, love of country. A lot of guys that go from the military into politics thinking I could just carry this, this flag, this banner in a different arena. But just the person that's like, I just want to be a politician, you got to be a creepy, narcissistic asshole. You can't have any friends. I'm convinced if you've never been in the military and you're not a lawyer and you want to be a politician, you have zero friends. You just want to make a lot of friends. You want to look at the popular guy in high school, like, look who's shaking all the hands now.
Yeah. Well, and I was actually having this discussion yesterday with a friend of mine that's he's in college. He's in a very nice college on the East Coast, and we of course, as most of my discussions do, it got on the path of politics, and that was kind of one of my big things, that we don't get the best and the brightest anymore. There's so much money in politics that you get people that are either there for the money or the power or the fame or megalomaniac or whatever it is. But because there's so much money in politics, now there's so much money in making the other guy look bad, right? So I don't have to be a great person, I just have to be a better person than you. And that's what it's become. And so people that are genuinely good people that could genuinely do the best for this country don't even want to go into it anymore because they're, most of them have families or a reputation. They don't want to have their reputation destroyed.
Would you?
Yeah, no, that's why I would never do it. I got too many skeletons in the closet.
See, and that's the thing. I'm not scared of the skeletons I have in the closet. It's like, if you read my book, I could be president. It's like, you got nothing on me. Really, what do you got on me?
But see, that's the thing. Like, you know all that stuff, but do you want your daughter to know all this stuff? Like, do you want your daughter to look back? And that's, it's not like, I'm sorry, but like our shows, although they are the best shows I've ever heard, they're not reaching the amount of people that the NBC Nightly News is, or the ABC Nightly News.
Be surprised.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one thing. It's one thing for
I know exactly what you mean. It's yeah, and that's I look at with my daughter, and it's like, God, I hope you don't do most of the things I did.
Yeah.
I want you to be a great person. Just be better than me.
Yeah.
You could be a C plus human being. You got me beat by 2 letter grades. So
yeah, I want my kids to be a lot better than me. That's for sure. That's that's the whole thing. Like, it's only, you can gain from anything as long as you learn from it. But especially if you can learn from it, and then teach the next generation or teach somebody else where your mistake was. And so I think that's a big part about being a parent, is going, hey, I screwed this up. Please, you do not.
Yeah. One other thing to kind of go along with politics and the dirtiness of this story. I just think there's so much more to this story with this SF officer. Who's the person? I mean, I know it's a Weasley person, but who's the person that's like, I want to take somebody down. I want to just destroy somebody's life. I want to destroy somebody's happiness. I don't get it. I'm not the nicest person in the world, but I have a soul, and I just don't think I could tear somebody down like that.
There are a lot of people out there that do that, and unfortunately, a lot of them, most of them, are just trying to further their own career by destroying somebody else's. So if you look at like lawyers, politicians, district attorneys, a lot of these other people, and there are a lot of politicians out there that will be like, if they'll do an investigation into somebody else because it makes them look good. Like Elliot Spitzer did a lot of stuff. I remember specifically, and I think it might have been McChrystal. But I remember before I went to Afghanistan, the first time, my dad sent me a link to a story, and I think it might have been McChrystal. But essentially, there was an SF team, there was an ODA that was doing a special reconnaissance of a known, like, really bad enemy combatant. Like, this guy was known, he had a kill order, right? So there are certain people that have kill on sight orders, right? That exists. There are people out there that is your thing, is kill. Now, there's kill or capture, and there's a lot of different of course, taken alive and all that other good stuff. This guy had a kill or capture, which means you have full authority to just kill him on sight. So they had the sniper overwatch, and the captain, and the team sergeant were somewhere else. They had one of their Afghan, like, police, or no, they didn't have, but like they were watching, and the Afghan police went to this guy's house, knocked on the door. The guy opens up the door and actually walks out in front of his house to talk to the cop. So as soon as they see this guy walk out, they positively identified who he was. Captain and the team sergeant both called the guys that are on Sniper Overwatch, go, hey, take him out. And they did. They shot him. They killed him. Okay, good. Terrorist dead. Mm-hmm. I think it was McChrystal, but that was the essence of this order, or this article that I read, was that somebody back at Fort Bragg in command, at USASOC command, was bringing up the captain and the team sergeant on charges because they were saying it was an unlawful act of war for them to shoot that guy when he was talking to a police officer. And the thing that really bothered me, and this is exactly what we're talking about here, is the general, and I swear it was McChrystal, was quoted as saying, I'm doing this because nobody else will. Because everybody else pretty much looked at that story and the chain of events and went, hey, we killed a known terrorist that kills Americans. Like, we got a bad guy that had a killer capture on him. No harm, no foul. Like, that's a good outcome. So, hey, nobody else would bring these guys up on charges because they said, hey, it might, maybe it was done not the best way, but at the end of the day, like, you killed a bad guy. Good job, guys. But McChrystal or whoever it was, and if it isn't McChrystal, I'm very sorry, General McChrystal, if you ever watch the show. But
he does.
I'm pretty sure it was.
He's like, Rob.
whoever it was, that was the thing he was saying. Like nobody else in the chain of command is going to bring these guys up on charges, so I will. And that's kind of like a big like when I read this inside my own head started screaming, nobody else will because it's a dumb thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But this guy, especially when you get that level of general, like it's that same thing. For a general to kind of pad his own resume or an officer to pad his own resume, what do? You got to create a stupid FM or change a stupid regulation and put that on your OER bullet, right? Well, they get the same thing. A lot of people get the same thing for these kind of things. For actually taking somebody down. For, maybe what they did isn't that bad. But if you make a mountain out of a molehill and you are the guy that can put that on your OER bullet that you took that guy down, or if you're a district attorney or if you're a lawyer or whatever it is, it's kudos for you.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of this comes from.
True. A lot of commanders that I served under, they have an OER bullet. After I leave, I survived Silent J. So.
That should be like a bronze star right there. Maybe even a purple one.
Yeah, I got one. One poor bastard. My current commander now. We got a month left together, and I think he's excited to see me go. Just because I when you're in a meeting and everyone's like harumph, I'm the one that they point to. I didn't get a harumph out of that guy. I just kind of stand there in the corner and shake my head. This sucks. I don't like this plan. No, you got a better idea then? Yeah, I do. And then I just get to shut up. I just.
I was always friends with most of my commanders, but I met a lot of sergeants
with them. I'll have a beer with them, but when we're at work, put on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. Most everybody's best friend in the Army. Put on the uniform, and I'm the devil's advocate. I'd like to look at the other side of the picture sometimes.
I had a lot of sergeants major and first sergeants that did not like me, specifically because I wouldn't laugh at their stupid jokes. Because for me, I don't care who you are, but if I hear you say the same joke 15 times within a week, I'm not going to laugh at it. Especially if it wasn't funny the first time. It's really not funny the 15th time, and I'm just not. I'm not. I don't fake laugh. Like I laugh if something's genuinely funny, I'll laugh. I don't even laugh when it's genuinely funny. A lot of times I'll just be laughing on the inside.
Well, I got to start writing down what jokes I've used for the show then.
Yeah.
That was funny.
No, but that's military humor. You know what I mean? Like there's a specific type of like military humor. I went to basic training. Actually, I went all the way through the beginning of the Q course with this guy named Nemo. His last name was Nemo. And every school we went to, everything that we did, our drill sergeants in basic training, every day, usually multiple times a day, would make some kind of Finding Nemo joke. Going through the Q course, they would throw us in any lake that we'd go by and go, "Oh, find Nemo!" Ah!
Mine.
Yeah, and that's after one or two times, kind of go, "Huh, okay."
Yeah, I hate that movie. I think I would have dropped. I'm like, listen, guys, I'm leaving. I can't stand that fucking movie or jokes pertaining to said movie.
Well, that's the worst part is when they're throwing you in lakes in North Carolina when it's like 30 degrees outside and saying "Find Nemo," and you go, "Well, I think Nemo's dead. He's blue and he's bobbing in the water." So I think you took care of that problem.
Seeing as how we're on the lighter side of the show right now, and I know we don't have too much longer left, I have a couple good tweets for you, Rob.
Yeah. Okay.
Best worst tweets of the week. I'm going to start coming up with a jingle for this. These are, and it's not best / worst. It's the best worst treats.
Okay.
It is a treat. The first one is from Nancy Grace, Skeletor Dome herself.
That's a bad start. The worst example of pantsuits. I think her and Hillary Clinton need to have like a bad fashion female pantsuit walk off, and just kill them both at the end. But
whoever kills him gets that little her handcuff necklace as a trophy. Just keep that.
Real vile human being.
He is. Both of them. Where is it? Right here. And she's got the worst hashtags ever, like disgusting hashtags. And we're trying to be nicer on this show, so I'm not gonna say what my rebuttal was for one of her hashtags one time, but there's a lot of words that rhymed with runt and rot. Hashtag that. But this one is for the baby that was killed in the car, where the parents like Googled
overheating. Yeah.
Well, this pertained to that. It's a sad story. It's a horrible story. It's a very evil thing to do. You don't add a hashtag to it. This was, Daddy reportedly went to Chick-fil-A before work. Did he buy his Todd a chicken breakfast for his last meal? Hashtag hot car murder.
What a horrible human being. That's just
distasteful is that? You know, that it's just.
So, was she trying to be funny with that, or is she just trying to be a jerk?
I don't know.
That's so wrong, man. I mean,
that's what, you know what, and that's who. She's prime time, you know, cable news television. I mean, she works for one of the biggest, networking, companies, media conglomerates in the world, CNN. That's their 8 o'clock spot or 9 o'clock Eastern spot. That's their Bill O'Reilly. They look alike. She's a little bit. I'd rather
don't put Bill O'Reilly down like that. I don't like Bill that much, but you can't. I
actually like Bill. I'd rather jump in a shower with a loofah with him than her any day.
Yeah, she'd start yelling at you. I don't want any girl that I'm with to be.
What are you doing? I'm gonna hashtag punch you in the mouth, Nancy. How about that? I don't condone any violence towards women. I don't think you're a lady. I think you're a woman.
On the other, I think you're a Wookiee. On the other hand, how much money does she make compared to Oprah? Because Oprah, I don't know. Have you ever seen that Chappelle show where Oprah find out Oprah's knocked up with Chappelle's baby?
Yeah. I don't think too many people make more money than Oprah in the media. Maybe Barbara Walters.
Is Barbara Walters still alive?
Yeah. I think they're on her 4th version of the Cyborg. But
oh my God.
Yeah.
And
then I got another tweet. Reverend Al Sharpton.
Jesus. Man.
He's got a radio show called Keeping It Real, and that's on a satellite platform. And then he's got his show, Politics Nation, but he spelt it wrong. So he's on one of the other big. He's not on the Young Turks. He's on MSNBC, big one. I know. I'm doing this just to make you suffer for our first visit a while together. It says, "Thanks for tuning in to my hashtag Keeping It Real radio show." I only brought this one up because he's a liar. He said, "Thanks for tuning in." Nobody fucking tunes in, Al. You're a liar. Nobody listens to the radio show. Stop it. We have more listeners, and I unfortunately could see how many people are watching us right now. That's 2 more than you. Bastard. I like the fat L with the Guido tuxedo way better than I like the skinny L on MSNBC. I can respect a man that yells Greek, homo, and Jew and insinuating a riot. That's my kind of guy. This guy right here, no, I don't like him.
He's on MSNBC. Well, and he's in perfect company with Rachel Maddow. I mean, those two, I bet they hold hands and skip together in the company parking lot.
My future wife does none of that. Cut that shit out, Rob.
I think Rachel Maddow's a man. I bet her underwear has dick holes in them.
Ooh. The ones with the drip marks in the front. Real man, you don't even shake. You're just like, whatever, don't cry.
That one, so I got to give all credit where credit is due. That one is from the Chappelle Show. Remember the haters? Hate. And they're talking about Rosie O'Donnell. Yeah.
Rosie. Poor Tom Selleck.
Yeah. Huh?
She railroaded him. Yeah. Topical. Yeah, I'm bringing up something topical from fucking 20 years ago. When she had her own talk show, she had Tom Selleck on once. This was in the mid-'90s, and he's a big fan of the NRA and big Second Amendment guy. And she basically had him on. He thought he was going to talk about a movie that he had coming out or a TV show, and she just attacked him for his Second Amendment stance. And this was back in the 90s, and just completely railroaded him. And
Rosie O'Donnell?
Yeah. Google it. YouTube it. But don't YouTube it on here because we'll get kicked off.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You know what really kind of bothers me? For my podcast, the Far From Center podcast, this is a complete tangent, so sorry, but this does kind of tie in because we're talking about not having any voice or anywhere you can really do anything if somebody falsely accuses you in the media. I got an email from YouTube. Again, YouTube. because I use Far From Centered. I use music from a band that I really like called Mike Amobile and Run Over Twice that we play on every one of my shows. So when I started posting to YouTube, I put the music in there because it's just the same thing. I got an email from YouTube saying that I was infringing on their patent or copyright or something like that, so I couldn't include their music in there anymore. And so I went because I know Mike from Mike and I've been on twice. So I called him. I was like, "Hey man, you gave me permission to use your music. Does anybody else own it?" And he went, "No, I have full rights to that music. Nobody else has any ownership of anything, and you can use it for whatever you want." I was like, "Okay, great." And I got all pissed off and I puffed on my chest and I went to go call somebody on YouTube. Here's an exercise in futility. Find a phone number to call for somebody at YouTube. There's none.
You know what? I can't believe it. See, we're so different, but we're the same. I had a hip hop artist on last week named Type Ill. He's prior service. He was in the Army, and he's got a hip hop career now. His manager sent me a song and said, "You could play this song tonight. His album's coming out in 2 weeks. We'd like you to play the song before you have Type. Let's just call him Type. Before you have Type on." I'm like, okay. I played the song. And I got the pop-up from YouTube. If you keep infringing on copyrights, blah, 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 this show will end. I had him on right after, and I went on a tangent. Like, usually artists will go on any show or platform, whether it's radio, TV, whatever the case may be, and they come on to promote their artwork, whether it's
free publicity.
So you have a radio, you have a movie trailer or a song or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, yeah, it says I can't play it because it was copyrighted. He's like, what? That's mine. Nobody owns the copyright to that. So that was news to him. I mean, and it's annoying because I'm not making money off of playing somebody else's song for 30 seconds, or a minute. I'm trying to promote somebody so they could get paid, and it's just fucking annoying.
Well, and you have nobody to go to. There's nobody to go to. So, kind of sticks you between the rock and a hard place. Lets you know how important you are at the end of the day.
Yeah. Fucking John's a weirdo. One of our weird groupie fans with the wrong plumbing. That's weird. Guy's odd. John, you're odd.
He asked me a question that I'm trying to keep my profanity down a little bit, so I'm not going to repeat it. But it's a question of something I would do with Oprah for money. And John, for that amount of money, yes.
Oh, I thought that's a dolphin at first. Oh, definitely. $5,000 I would, because that's not dirty. That's clean.
Yeah.
And I just got one thing. I know we got to end soon, so we're on. Whenever you say cut, we will. I have 5 weeks left.
In the Army?
Of active service, yep. 5.
Congratulations.
Finally, my paperwork made its way up to the final point before my orders are cut. I was 4 days away from an IG complaint, and I voiced my concern on my show last week in the best way I know how by being mean-spirited, but comical. My commander actually sent me a text, "Your paperwork's up." So during the show, I'm like, see? People listen to you and you get results. They just don't like it on a public platform. But, so I was hoping my orders would be cut this week so I can get this other weight lifted off my chest about processing and moving my household goods and all that other stuff, because then I got to finish enrolling in school. I have so much to do the next 2 months. The first day of class, this upcoming semester for college, I'm going to be so excited. People are going to be nervous. I'm just going to sit down like, promised land, school, college, like I'm going to look at people. This is a great seat. This is awesome. You should have seen where I was 2 months ago. Yeah. I've been doing this for over 10 years now. I've been in for almost 14, but the last 10 years active, and I'm just ready for that new moment in my life, that new chapter of my life. I've loved everything that's happened in this last chapter, but I needed a new one, and I needed a new change of scenery quick, and that can't come any sooner. just I feel as if I'm a creative person and I'm just chomping at the bit to find something new avenue of approach of being creative.
Right.
I just can't find it now. So I'm so excited. I got 5 weeks left. So and I got 67 days of terminal leave. So when you tune into one of these shows in like 3.5, 4 months, you're not gonna see the same person. I'm not cutting my hair. I'm not shaving, and it's not a good. I'm not gonna shave. I have like it looks like little chemo blotches where my facial hair doesn't grow in. It's like I'd be the Afghani that gets no respect because it's like look at that guy's beard or lack of, you know. So I can't wait, man. You're gonna have an ugly, grizzly co-host in a few months, man.
I can live with that. I can live with that. I think that'd be perfectly acceptable.
And I'm gonna talk about refined topics there.
And I'm trying to what do you call it? I'm trying to kind of the opposite. I'm trying to kind of cut back in the profanities and my other kinds of dirty humor. But sometimes I do a good job. Sometimes I don't do a good job.
I think I've been doing a good job because we could save this for a future show. But I wanna do something that you know. I don't want to talk about it yet. That I'm looking to join something. And I think this is I was gonna do that like 8 years ago, but I wasn't in the right frame of mind after I came back from Iraq, and I wanted to wait until I was a better person. And I've been thinking about that too. I'm going to cut down on the humor. Well, not the humor, the way I go about making people laugh, because I'm getting old, you know. So I'm gonna push myself on a creative, educational level to make people laugh.
Good. That's good. And that's, like Joe Rogan is probably one of my favorite comedians, and he doesn't really have to do that. You know what I mean? Like he uses a much more kind of intellectual, high-level approach. And I think it is fine. I think it is better when you kind of lead somebody down for 10 or 15 minutes before you really hit the, it's so easy to just knock it down with a dick and fart joke.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna go Dennis Miller though. I can't go that way. That's just I still don't understand his references, you know. So, but
he does get a little out there. Okay, well, so before we sign off here, I want to remind everybody go check out tactical16.com. Don't forget to check out Jay's other show here on Vets on Media, the Tactical 16 Radio with Silent J.
Got some big numbers.
There you go.
Well, thank you, everybody, for listening.
Yeah, and you're already here, but you might be getting this on Google Hangouts or YouTube or Podbean or iTunes or wherever. Don't forget to go check out vetsonmedia.com where you can find this show and a lot of other really great shows. It's a company, they're all veteran, so everybody there that has a show and owns a station are all veterans. A lot of the shows are veteran-based topics, but not all of them are. But go check them out because they're all pretty good. Don't forget to check out letmewhenimgone.com, farfromcenter.com, tactical16.com, where you can find a bunch of great books, including my own, by other military authors about, a whole slew of things. It's not just about combat. They're about a lot of different things.
He's going to be on Fox too, pretty soon.
He's going to be on again?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, so Eric Shaw.
Yesterday or today. So, yeah, that was their big announcement.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That'll be really good because that was the first thing, when he got on there the first time, that really helped kind of launch Tactical 16, so that'll be another really big move forward for him.
Oh, yeah.
That means I got to hurry up and finish the pact and get it out to him.
Yeah, because, you got to. And again, damn, I'm just not quite done with my book yet.
Yeah, I have it. I had planned to have it already finished. But this last month just put me back so far. So I gotta get to work on it. Believe me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I want everybody else that consistently listens to the show. I know it was a different night. We had issues last night, travel issues, and last week was technical issues on my part. But I think over the next couple months, especially at my end, I'm going to be sporadic with this transition in my life. So, and I know Rob's busy too. So there's going to be a couple weeks you may not see the show. Either one of my shows, whether it's my show or our show that we do here. So at least for the next few months, I'm gonna be busy, and Rob understands the whole transitioning from to a civilian, and I've never done it, so I'm excited to be pulling my hair out. So yeah, we're not going to forget about you guys. So when you do see us, we're going to have awesome shows. We're busy men. We're men of the world. You know, we don't have to explain anything to you people.
You're not my father. Oh man. All right. So on that note, everybody remember to check out Tycho16 vetsonmedia.com. LetMeWhenI'mGone.com, FarmerCenter.com, and I said Tycho16.com again, but I'll say it again because it's worth it. Check out Fox News and look out for Eric Shaw. Follow us on Facebook. Follow Center Mass with Robin Silent J on Google+, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, everything that's out there. So for Center Mass with Robin Silent J, I'm Rob.
I am Silent J.
And always remember to stand your ground. Don't fire unless fired upon. But if they mean to have a war, then let it begin here. Peace out.
And I got a new one.